Then we will go on.
Es reißt du es her in das schreckliche Verflucht. Jüdische Volk, so fein und brech die Hand. Es brennt dort auf Feuer, Feuer hervor. In der Hinterfahrt, Arbeiter, werden verbrennt. Die uns wenden, im Feuren Frieden, vom Springen sich, sehe heute finden, die Morgen still, entfährt, still, ja, Mame klug noch in der Stil. Euch weht Kind in Jung, reißt das Bein im Fuhr, im Baum in Jung. Du liebst im Stück die Bräut, und das Schreck noch verfeut, der raubt mir mein einziges Kind. Heut fliegt man Mädchen, das fliegt immer Stab, ach, lieb weg, Mädchen. Wer ist meine Jünger? I think in that you and oi, Mama, Mama, wer ist mir? Oi, wer Kind in Jung, reißt das Bein die Huer, die Mama in Jung. Lieb dem Stückli Bräut, was das schreckliche Zeug, der raubt mir mein einziges Kind. Heut liegt beim Mädelberg, da krieg immer Stab, ach, ich weg, Mädelberg. Wer ist meine Jünger? Hat ihn in 16 Jahren, oi, Mama, Mama, wer ist mir weg?
Okay. Janet, will you start reading, please?
Industrialization in Eastern Europe brought millions of Jewish workers into the labor movement starting in the 1870s. Many joined the Allgemeiner Jiddische Arbeiterbund in Lithuania, Poland, and Russland, the General Jewish Workers' Union of Lithuania, Poland, and Russia, that was founded in 1897 in Vilna. The mass immigration of Jewish workers to the U.S. led to the organization of the Jewish labor unions beginning in the early 1880s.
Go on.
The Yiddish-speaking immigrant Jacob Magadoff, Bernard Weinstein, Morris Hilquit, and Abe Kahan all joined the Socialist Labor Party in New York. In 1888, they organized the Vereinigte Jiddische Gewerkschaften, the United Hebrew Trades, modeled on the German-American Vereinigte Deutsche Gewerkschaften, the United German Trades, which supported their struggles. In 1922, the United Hebrew Trades represented is it 200,000?
Okay.
Jewish workers, not only cloak makers and dressmakers, but bakers, shop clerks, seltzer makers, and other trades.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Andrew, will you continue?
Organized strikes for decent working conditions, shorter hours, and better pay, and called for the establishment of unemployment insurance. If it urged newspapers and state commissions to investigate the factories and tenements. It founded the newspaper Forwards and the communal self-help organization, the Arbiter Ring, the Workmen's Circle. Cahan eventually became the editor-in-chief of the Forwards.
So that's the picture of Khan. And I think he was editor for 47 years.
Wow.
Something like this. Okay, go on, Andrew.
A horrendous fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in New York on March 25th, 1911, killed 146 workers. Most of them were young Jewish and Italian immigrant women who worked 12 hours a day. A huge street protest followed, with workers from the Vereinigte Yiddish Gewerkschaften taking the lead. The family sued the owners, who paid $75 for each victim.
Go on.
Ansel Shore wrote the words. J.M. Grumshinsky wrote the music to the heartbreaking elegy Mamenu Oder der Troja auf die Triangle Fire Carbones. Mamenu, or lament for the victims of the Triangle Fire. Simon Pascal sings one stanza of the song.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's start with the Yiddish. Elaine, can you start, please?
Sure. Es reißt das Herz von der schrecklicher Plug. My heart is torn from this terrible calamity. The Yiddish folk klogt und weint und brecht die Hand. The Jewish people lament and cry and wringing their hands. Es brecht euch a fire, oi in hellen Tag. A fire breaks out on a clear, bright day, bright day. Und hunderter Arbeiter, sie werden verbrannt, and 100 workers get burned up.
100.
Okay, I will ask you to continue, but right now, are there any questions about what we read? Okay, so please continue.
Okay. Die, was Sinnen von Feier antrinnen, haben springendig sehr teut gefunden. So those, I think this is those who escaped or escaping from the fire by jumping, just found their death. They just jumped to their death. Die morgue is full. That is, that's transliteration. The morgue is full. Me werd shiur dul, wie a Mama klugt dort in der Still. The morgue is full. One becomes limitlessly mad. One goes mad as a mother laments there in the silence.
Thank you. Thank you. Maurice, do you have anything to add?
No, that's good. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Harriet, can you read, please?
Yes. Oy vey, Kinder you, reiß sich bei dir hor die Mammen you. Oh, oy vey, my children, the mothers are pulling out their hair. Zu lieb dem Stickelbräut hat a schreckliche Teut. Because of trying to get a little bread, they had a horrible death. Geräubt mir mein einzig Kind. I'm robbed of my only child. Toit liegt mein Mädele, my my daughter lies dead. Tachrichim anstatt a Hupe Kleidele, shrouds instead of a wedding dress. Wie is meine Jord?
They is my Leon.
They is meine Jord. I don't know how to translate it. Pain.
It's just, woe is me.
Woe is my year. Kind von 16 Jahren, a child that's 16 years old. Oi, mama, mama, weis mir. Woe is me. Oh, mama, mama.
Thank you. Thank you. Julia, can you continue to read?
I would like to ask a question first.
Yes, please.
I had heard that the people who were responsible for this were two Jewish men. I wonder if anyone knows that this is correct.
True, that's true.
Correct.
They were bosses, the bosses. And also the doors were locked. They couldn't get out. They would lock the doors.
And they were the ones who robbed anyway, they took care of them.
Punished? Were they punished?
I
Yes,
don't know that.
yes, but they returned.
You can't blame the bosses. Locals, they wander off sometimes. It's just a small business decision. You need to understand.
Well, we don't lock the doors.
A
Well, they
business
did-
Good decision.
yes.
They did
Daniel's
because
being
when they,
He's
sarcastic.
being facetious.
Yes.
no, but because when they took the breaks, I believe they
Yes.
locked the door until then they let them have their break. I think that was the problem. Because after that, everything, laws were passed.
It happened
Not
recently in
allowed.
China. Didn't it happen recently in China during COVID?
Yes, it
This
does.
was, you must
Yeah.
remember the years that this happened. The bosses were in charge, everyone worked. In order to be sure no one left their station, they locked them in. It was a custom, unfortunately, but the fire changed that,
Yeah, they changed the laws afterwards.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Julia, can you continue reading, please?
oi, kinder you, reist sich bei die Hor, die Mammen you, zu lieb dem Stickelbräut, hat a schrecklicher Teut, gebrucht mit mein Kind.
Okay, you want to translate it or Maurice?
Go ahead.
Okay, Maurice, please.
Oh, woe is me, my child. The mother tears her hair out on account of for a piece of bread. A terrible death has robbed me of my only child.
Yeah.
Thank you. Isabel, I saw that you joined us. Isabel.
Heute liegt mein Mädel. My young daughter is lying dead.
Tachrichem,
I can't get this word.
tachrichem.
Tafrichem.
Mhm.
Anstatt hoffe Kleidele. I don't know how to translate that.
It's a shroud instead of a wedding dress.
I see. Okay. Wer ist meine Jor? Woe is me. A Kind von 16 Jahren, a young child of 16 years. Oi, Mama, wer is mir? Wer. We all know what that means.
Okay, so let's.
We
listen to-
used to say Veitzumir, not Veizmir in my family. Oy, Veitzumir.
No,
Did anybody else hear that?
Bayesmere.
Bayesmere.
Yeah, I know Veizmir, but they always say Veitzumir.
Right, there are a lot of variants with the word ve,
Right.
pain, ve is mir, ve meine Jur. It's
Weizsämmeer, right?
right.
Okay,
Oh, it usually was Weizsädeer.
maybe. Very, very sad song.
Yes.
Es reißt du es her in das schreckliche Verfall. Jüdische Volk, so weint und brech die Hand. Es brennt aus der Feier, Feuer hält auf. En in de paard, arbeider, en verbrand. Die moet wenden, in feiern vrienden, kom, bringen dich, wehe heute binnen, die morgen still, en werd stil, ja mame klug doch in der Stil. Euch weht Kind in Jung, reißt das Bein Huer, im Baum in Jung. Du liebst dem Stück die Bräut, und verschreckt noch erfreut, der raubt mir mein einzig Kind. Heut liegt man Mädchen, das kriegt immer Stab, ach, lieb weg, Mädchen. Wer ist meine Jünger? Ein Kind in 16 Jahren. Oi, Mama, Mama, wer ist mir? Oi, wer Kind in Jung, reißt das Bein hoch, die Mama in Jung. Lieb dem Stückli Bräut, was schrecklicher Teut, der raubt mir mein einzig Kind. Heut liegt man Mädchen, da kriegt immer Stab, ach, ich bin Wer ist meine Jünger? Hat Kind in 16 Jahren. Oi, Mama, Mama, wer ist mir weg?
Can you leave that on for a moment so we could read it, the forwards?
Okay, yeah.
Before was it
Oh, it's gone?
Yeah, the
done?
slide.
Okay, let me. I'll do it again so you can read it. Just a moment. Okay.
Mark,
Okay.
yeah, somebody
Oh.
should read it. Let him read it. So I
Der
know it.
Morg ist voll mit unseren Karbones. So the morgue is full with,
Der Morg ist voll mit unseren Kindern.
yeah,
Oh, the
Karbones.
morgue is filled with, oh my God. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the one on the bottom, right?
Yeah.
The whole Jewish quarter
Quarter is in Troyer.
is in sadness, Troyer.
Sadness,
Morning.
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 It's very sad, very.
Yeah.
Terrible.
and,
Okay, so,
Nina.
yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
I'm back.
Maurice, yes.
I just wanted to point out that that page from the Forwards at the top, at the heading, it said Vorwärts in Yiddish, forward in English, and Vorwärts in German. Because that was still at a time when they were closely allied to the German workers in New York City who had also very strong socialist leanings, and the Vorwärts was the newspaper in Germany of the Social Democratic Party. So
It'd be interesting for us to look into what happened afterwards, all the laws that were passed after this fire.
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure many things happened after.
well, there was the Yiddish speaking unions went to Albany to argue in favor of passing some sort of basic protection for the workers. I mean, the Jewish unions were very well organized, and they knew what they had to do. They had to rally, they had to demonstrate, and they went to Albany to argue the case.
Correct.
Okay, Barbara?
Well, I have some information. This is Wikipedia, but just saying who the owners were, Mike and Isaac Harris, both Jewish immigrants, survived the fire by fleeing to the building's roof when it began, were indicted on charges of first and second degree manslaughter in mid-April. The pair's trial began on December 4, 1911. However, they tore apart some of the witnesses. The prosecution charged that the owners knew that the exit doors were locked at the time in question, and the investigation found that the locks were intended to be
Right.
locked during working hours based on the findings from the fire. But the defense stressed that the prosecution failed to prove that the owners knew that, and the jury acquitted the two first and second degree manslaughter, but they were found liable of wrongful death during a subsequent suit in 1913, in which plaintiffs were awarded compensation in the amount of $75 per deceased victim. The insurance company paid Blanc and Harris about $60,000 more than the reported losses, or about $400 per casualty.
Okay, thank you. Marsha?
Yeah, the last word in the first title was carbonis. Was that the word?
Carbonis.
What does that mean?
Victims.
Victims.
Is it not sacrifices? Sort
No,
of.
victims. It can be sacrifice, but in
Right.
another context.
Right.
It's in another context, the sacrifice. Yeah. Morty? You're muted, Morty.
Yes, sorry. I don't know if it has been mentioned because I came in late, but I wanted just to say that the majority of the victims were both Jewish and Italian girls
Yes,
who worked
right.
in the sweatshop.
Yeah. Yes. Any more comments or just questions or anything about this very, very sad event? Yes, Julia.
I have read some descriptions of what it was like in the Lower East Side at that time afterwards. And one of the things I read was it talked about how the homes would always have the black shades down until that could done.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So let's move on. Let's move back to King Vizata and his antiques. So we will see what is up to this time. So I am sharing the story, and that's it. Okay. The moment I will make it larger, promise. Just a moment. Let me get to where we stopped. So King Vizata decided that he is going to build at Fise a prison.
Mina, was er op let zijn er meer?
Staying. Okay. We are here. Vizata's Beamte.
You make it just a little larger.
A little more?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I can. Okay.
Oh, bigger, bigger, bigger.
One more.
And more, I'm
That's it.
not sure it will get out of the page.
Okay.
That's
Ugh,
good.
Okay, I think I cannot more because otherwise it will cut the word. So I hope that's okay.
I have plenty of room on the right. Auf der rechten Seite ist Sache. There's plenty of room.
But that's how it's printed. I cannot do anything more. I'm sorry, really. Maybe you can do it on your own computer to enlarge it.
It's okay.
Okay, so we are here. Vaizatas Ba'amte. Karen, can you start reading it? Here. Karen?
I'm terribly sorry.
No, that's okay. Vaizatas Ba'amte.
Eisasses Beamte sinnen weg, übergeben dem Befehl, mir soll anheben, boyen schnell a Tefisa. Vaisos's officers, assistants, went gave the order that they should build quickly a jail.
Just a moment, Karen. Ba'amte is also a civil servant, yes?
Civil servant, thank you.
Yeah, but here it's officers, but a Ba'amte is a civil servant. Okay, go on.
Aber die Chelmer Leid haben gesagt, but the Chelmer people said, wir sind schwach von Hunger. We're weak from hunger. Wir verstehen in die Reihen. Mit von stehen in der Reihen, tired from standing in line. Und wir haben nicht kein Koyach zu bauen, and we don't have any strength to build. Soll man uns geben zu essen? You should give us something to eat. Wenn wir haben Koyach zu bauen a Tefisa, then we will have the strength to build a prison. Wenn Vaisosa hat sich gewusst, als die Chelmer ehrliche Leid zogen sich ab zu bauen a Tefisa, when Vaisosa found out that the honest Chelmer people refused to build a prison, is geworden sehr in Kass und geschrien. He became very angry and cried out, "Das is sabotage. This is sabotage." Hat geheißen seine Soldaten, mehr soll zwingen, die Chelmer zu bauen a Tefisa. He called on his soldiers to force the Chelmers to build a prison. Wer wird sie zwingen? Who should they force?
No, who will force them?
Who will force them? Who will force them? Hat Lekishowicz gefragt. Lekishowicz asked, wir haben nicht genug Polizei, was sollen Achtung tun auf so großen Eulen Sabotagenikers. We don't have enough police to look out for, to watch over the I'm sorry,
Yeah, to watch over. That's okay. To watch
over,
over.
to watch over such a large crowd of saboteurs. Vaizosa hat noch getracht, getan a Schokol mit dem Kopf. Vaizosa considered it and he gave a shake of his head. As alle glücklich haben sich geklungen und gesagt. So all of the little bells started, and all of the little bells started ringing and said, Soll man geben die Ganovim, Räuber und Mörder Gewehr und sie bestimmen für Poli Polizi
Polizianten.
Polizianten, give all the thieves, robbers, and murderers arms, and they will and appoint them to be police. Sie wollen Achtung tun, als die ehrliche Leid sollen boyen die Tefisa. They will see to it that the honest Chalmers will build the prison.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Rochelle, will you continue?
Ja, wenn die Gewehre,
No, Ganovim.
oh, wenn die Genoven, Räuber und Mörderes haben der Herd, als sie wollen kriegen, Gewehr von königlichen Arsenal, seien sie geworden sehr freilich und gerufen. When the robbers and the thieves found out that they were going to get arms from the king's arsenal, they became very happy. Von alle Resources was haben, wenn sie's gelebt, gelebt is unser Resource der größte resource. Of all of the resources that have lived, ours is the greatest. Bald sind sie alle geworden bewaffnet mit Schwerden. Soon they were all armed with swords, Spitzen und was noch man hat gekonnt kriegen in der Helmer Arsenal. What are Spitzen?
Spitzen is spears.
Spears and whatever else they could get in the Helmer Arsenal. Jener Nacht haben die Helmer Verbrecher zugenommen bei die Helmer Leid das letzte bissel Hob und Gut. Hov?
Yeah, Hob und Gut. Yeah.
Hob und Gut. The other night they.
No, that night.
Oh, that okay. Jene Nacht, that night haben die Helmer Verbrecher. Oh, the Helmer lawless ones. Zugenommen by they took from the Helmer people the last bit of something and good. What is
Hob und Gut are possessions.
Oh, Hob and
possessions, belongings.
Oh, okay. They took from them the last of their possessions. Hat aufgebracht alle Schenken und man hat getrunken und geheult bis Tag. So they opened all of the cupboards and they drank and they hullet until all day.
Okay, gehuliet. How would you
Made merry.
make merry? Yeah.
Okay, that would be Zoll Heiser hat man untergezunden. A few of the houses they burned. Ganz früh haben die Verbrecher herumgeringelt, Besosses Palats und verlangt, Besos soll zu sei kommen. So they burned a few houses and then they circled the palace and they demanded that Visos come out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Rafael, yes?
Yeah, Schenken here is not cupboards, it's taverns. So they
I'm
broke
sorry,
into
say-
all the taverns and then they
Tavern,
and then
okay.
they drank and made merry until day.
Okay. And aufgebrochen, so it's break into?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, so they broke, okay. So that's,
Is
yeah.
that is Schenken the same word for cupboard as for tavern? A shank?
Rafael?
I'm not
Rafael?
sure. There's Vatschafke for cupboard, which Boris Sandler uses. I'm not sure of any other shank, plural is shank, can be in closet. So
Okay.
it can be in closet
The
also.
deutsches Wort ist Geschenk for
Yeah.
cup. Everything
Yeah,
comes
that's in German. Yeah, that's in
Okay,
German.
because
That
that's
is-
that's why I
Okay.
translated it that way because that was the way I grew up
Exactly,
with it.
yeah.
Okay.
Karen, maybe you have an answer, Karen?
It's the vowel. It's the vowel. Shank is cupboard, and if it was a little shank, it would be a schenkel, but the plural is shanken. And this is shank, shanken. For a pub is shank. So it's it's a different vowel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Good. Okay, Susan, will you continue? Weil so say is Geschmack geschliffen.
Is Geschmack geschliffen, weil Zuzu slept very nicely. Und wenn Lekischowitz hat ihm aufgeweckt, and when Lekischowitz woke him up, is geworden sehr in Kass. He then became very angry. Von Ziemlichkeit hat ungetun die Kroin verkehrt. He was so mixed up that he put on his crown backwards. Die zwei Knecht haben gewöhnlich zugehalten die königliche Häusen, and the two slaves who usually held up the king's pants seinen über Nacht gehat weg aheim. They over the night they went back home to ihre Weiber and Kinder. They went back home to their wives and children. Und weil Zuzu hat gemusst allein zuhalten die Häuser. And weil Zuzu had to by himself hold up his pants. Oy. A groß Vision for a Koenig, a big indignity for a king to hold up his own pants. Wenn der König is a Borvisser rausgekommen auf den Ganek, and when the king came out barefoot on the porch, hat der Elster von die Ganovim, then the oldest thief,
Lakhaner. Okay.
Oh, that's his name?
That's his name, Lakhaner, because he is a thief. He's taking for people.
And he said, gesucht. Let's hear what.
Okay. So just a moment. Lakach in Hebrew is to take. And so his name is Lakhaner. He's taking. He's a thief. He's taking from people.
Oh, lakach, zu nehmen.
To nemen, exactly. It's like his name was to nemen.
The
Yeah.
taker, the name is the.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Before we move on, Susan, people raise their hands. So Rafael and then Elaine. Rafael.
I'm wondering how
Sí.
to pronounce that guy's name. Now, there is the verb
¿Qué cosa?
lakchenen, to steal. So my
Le voy a
guess is I
poner
would
los
call him
audífonos.
lakchener, but I'm not sure where to put the vowels really.
Just a moment,
Yeah, okay.
just a moment. We don't hear you. Anne, I cannot mute her.
Yeah, she's muted now.
Okay, okay, sorry, Rafael, because we just couldn't hear you. So
Yeah,
can
you hear me okay now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, the pronunciation of this fellow's name, there is the verb lakchenen, to steal. And so my guess is it would be lakchener, but I'm not sure.
Okay, okay. Morty, do you know how to pronounce it?
No, not
No.
really. But what I wanted to say is that there is also another understanding of this type of word in Yiddish, lachen, which means taking bribes.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's another level, yeah. Okay, it's just okay. Elaine, okay. Elaine.
The word for indignity, can you bizion?
Yeah. Bizayon is in Hebrew. I don't know how to pronounce it in Yiddish. I'm sorry. Maybe one
Bizion.
Bizion.
Bizion. Bizion. So
Refuel, I think, has another way.
Yeah, I would pronounce it bizoyan. Bizoyan.
Bizoyan.
Oh, and in Hebrew it would be
Bizayon.
Bizayon. And bizoyan in Yiddish. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I just maybe Refuel wants to correct me, but I had always heard, at least for the plural, bizioines. But do you have something different, Refuel?
No, I just looked in Naborsky. He has for the singular bizoyan and it's for the plural bizoinus. Or bizioinus, bizioinus.
So we agree on the plural, but the singular, you're probably right.
Okay, sure. Beverly?
You're muted, Beverly.
Beverly, you're muted.
Oh, so sorry. I'm just thinking of the picture. The king, he's holding up his pants, his crown is turned around, and you just have to laugh at the whole helm thing.
Yes.
His pants are falling down, he's barefoot, and his crown is turned around. There's just so much to laugh about.
Yeah. I think Bashevi Zinger had a lot of fun while writing.
Oh,
this
yeah.
And that's why it's Helen.
Yeah. Okay, so Susan, can you continue?
Heinig Vajezusu, wir sennen great zu helfen boyen a Twisa. King Vajezusu, we're ready to help build a prison. Aber nicht as wir sollen dort sitzen, but not for us to be locked there. Wir sennen schon genug gesessen. We've spent enough time sitting in the prison. Wer denn soll dort sitzen? So who should be locked up there? Hat Vajezuzu gefragt. Vajezuzu asked. The ehrliche Leid, the decent people. Oh. Vajezuzu is geworden sehr base. Vajezuzu got very angry. Hat gewollt schreien auf die Ganoven. He wanted to yell at the thieves. Oder sie losen oder sie losen arrestieren, or to let them be arrested. Aber wenn hat gesehen, als sie seinen bewaffnet, but when he saw that they were armed with weapons, von Kopf bis die Füße, from their heads to their toes, is geworden weicher, hat also getun. So he when he saw that, he softened up, and he made a statement. Soll nur sein a Twise, let it be a prison. Wird schon Emitz dort sitzen. If there's a prison, somebody will be locked up there. Nicht so leckisch, nicht so leckisch Shabbat. Isn't that so lecker
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Susan. Beverly, will you go on? Unterkennig.
Okay. My things at the move to the bottom, it's so hard for me to get them. Wenn der ehrliche Leid.
Unterkennig.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where are we?
Up. Two lines up.
Schön Embassy. Oh,
Yeah.
und der König hat sich zerlacht. The king started laughing mit a hazerik gelächter with a, how do you say hazerik?
Force.
Force?
Force.
Of course, yeah. Hazerik is when you, I haven't heard that word in years. Hazerik gelächter. Sis gewen lekish like a Shabbatz's Aufgabe. Ständig mitzulachen mit Vayasasim. It's always been like Shabbatz's. How would you say Aufgabe? He would always laugh with the king.
Aufgabe is like his
job.
role. His role.
His job to always laugh with the king. Wenn die ehrliche Leid haben sich der Wurst, when the nicer people found out, as Vayazaza is geworden der König von die Ganovim, that Vayazaza became the king of the thieves, und as they, the ehrliche Leid, the honorable people, wellen müssen bauen Atvisa für sich. They would have to build a prison for themselves. Haben sie endlich verloren das Geduld. They lost their initiative, their
Patience.
Patience.
Oh, their patience. Und gemacht a Revolution. It made a revolution. Die ehrliche Leid haben sich bewaffnet mit Messers. The good people took a lot of bewaffnet.
Armed themselves.
Armed themselves with knives. Heck, what's heck? Swords.
Axes.
Like axes.
Stecken, sticks, und was sie haben gekriegt. Anything that they could get. Es ist anstanden a Meloche. Milchame zwischen die ehrliche Leid und die Ganem. So there was a war between the honorable people and the thieves. Und noch a Sach Verlusten haben die ehrliche Leid gesiegt. I'm not
They
sure
won.
how to translate.
To win. They
And
won.
then what?
They won.
Oh, and then what's Verlusten?
Casualties.
Oh,
Losses.
They had a lot of casualties. I'm not sure how to finish that sentence. Like,
And after a lot of casualties,
yeah, the honorable people. What's gesiegt?
They won.
Oh, they won
the war.
They were victorious.
They were victorious.
They were victorious. Man hat a rausgelost von Zwitzer die Leid, was haben nicht gekonnt zurückgeben die 990 $, und man hat a reingeschickt zurück die Ganoven. So they let them out of the prison, and they gave them $990, and then they put in.
No.
Okay.
Okay, Morty.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Can you say?
Yeah, they allowed the people who could not return the $990, allowed them to get out of prison, and put in the thieves.
The thieves. Danach sind die ehrliche Leid weg zum Palaz. So then after that, they went to the palace, und man hat gezwungen, Vayasassen, herabzukriechen von Thron, and they forced him to get off of his throne. Azoi wie keiner hat nicht zugehalten seine Eisen. So because nobody was holding his hands, seien sie von ihm herabgefallen. Because no one was holding up his pants, they fell on him.
They fell
They
down.
They fell down.
They were.
They fell down.
Pants fell down.
Pants fell down. Oh, the pants fell down. Die ehrliche Leute haben herabgenommen von weil die Krein. They took off his crown zu schmelzen nahe Geld to make new money.
Yes.
A neue Helmer regieren. I mean, the underlying message is absolutely hysterical. For a new regier, a new government.
Melt?
They
Yeah,
melted down.
Yeah, schmelzen is to melt new money for a new Helmer government. Die Asassen und Lekischowitz hat man reingesetzt in Tvis. So the king and his friend Lakish, they put them in the prison.
Okay.
That's so hysterical.
It is hysterical. Thank you, Beverly. Bob, please.
Die Helmeleit haben wieder ausgeklippen 6 Chachamim. Sie sollen Mishpatin Weisassen für die Sordes, was hat uns ungetun, die Helmer. So the Helmer people chose 6 more wise.
Chose again,
6 wise, smart people, wise people. And so they should try Vaisatha for all the trouble that he's caused the poor, the Helma people. Drei Chachamim hat gehalten, as me Dorf Vaisata ophaken der Kopf. So 3 of the wise people, they decided that they should chop off Vaisatha's head. Die andere 3 haben gehalten, als mehr darf nicht abhaken. And the other 3, obviously, they decided, no, not chop off his head. Mahat gemacht Peshora, mahat abgehackt bei Zata a halben Kopf. They made a compromise and chopped off half of his head. That's Solomon would have done the same thing, I think.
Yeah.
Lekish Leshkovich is born Mishoris by the 6 Chachamim. So good old Lekish is became a servant to the wise people. Wenn einer von sie hat gelacht, hat Leshkishevich mitgelacht und azoi hat verdient sein Brot. And when they laughed at him, good old Lekish laughed with them, and that's how he earned his bread. Chelm is bislich weiß geworden wieder das alte Chelm. Gradually, Chelm turned back to the old Chelm. Die geworden haben geprüft, ausgeroben, das Gold und Silber, aber es ist verschwunden. So the Chalmers, gradually, the thieves.
No,
the
the
rich.
Gvirim are
Yeah,
rich people.
the Gavor. Yeah, the Gavor. The
Gevirim.
Gavorin, the thieves.
Gevirim.
No, the Gvirim, the rich people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. The rich people. They went to dig up their gold and silver. Oops, but it had disappeared. Wo ist es hingekommen? Where did it all go? In Main, Meinung is gewesen als geworden haben Ganuvin haben es Arois gegrobet.
Geganvet, Arois geganvet.
Ois gegnanabet.
Arois geganvet.
You say it. Easy enough for
Okay.
you to say.
Okay, Arois geganvet. So
And one idea was that the robbers had dug it up and taken it.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. Susan?
Where does the word Mishoris, what's the root of that, or how does that get to mean servant?
It's a sharet. Shin reish taf. That's the root. So
And that
to serve. Is serving.
Oh, Sharis is a servant.
To serve. Mm-hmm. Is to serve. Mesharet is a server or servant.
It's originally Hebrew.
Yeah, it's Hebrew. Yeah. Okay, Louisa, will you finish the story for us? I have prepared something else for today. We will go on. So, Louisa.
Faran euch atayere as unter
No,
teorie. Faran, that's why I thought it was strange. Faran euch teorie as unter dem Erd lebt a Monster, was est Gold und Silber, und as hat es aufgegessen. So there is also a theory that under the earth there lives a monster who eats gold and silver, and that he has eaten it all up. Wie modne nor es seinen geblieben in Helm Leid, was badoyern Vayasa's fall. So how strange that there remain in Helm people who badoyern, lament.
Yeah.
Who lament Vayatas, is it fall?
Vaisase, fall.
Vaisasa's fall, what is fall? Fall?
Downfall.
Yeah.
Downfall, okay. Thank you. Sie rufen sich die Vaisatisten,
exactly.
Vaisatisten. So they call themselves the Vaisatadists. Sie sagen, als wenn Vaisata wollt, they say that when Vaisasa wollt geblieben noch ein Jahr bei der Macht wollt Helm geworden a glückliche Stadt. They say that if Vaisasa had remained just one more year, he would have made Helm a very happy state, would be state.
City.
Sie haben אפילו a Führer
was ruft sich Weizasa der Zweiter. They even have a leader who calls himself Weizasa II.
Okay.
Great.
Very nice.
Any comments about this story?
I need it.
I've got to say, I do really appreciate Comrade Zingo's endorsement of revolution to solve the problems of the people. I think that's hysterical in this context.
Yes, Cookie.
I have a question that I'm thinking about. Does, like some of the words you say are Hebrew, Yiddish, did Hebrew, when it wasn't a language, was Hebrew ever before Israel, hundreds of years ago, a full language when it was a sort of a dead language, wasn't used? Was it a full language? Or did they take some of Yiddish and put Yiddish to make their Hebrew words?
No,
the other way around.
The other way around.
In other words, Hebrew was a full language, and we pulled in Hebrew into our Yiddish. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
Hebrew wasn't the Bible even.
Yeah.
No, I know that, but in other
Most
words,
of the men were educated in Hebrew when they went to Heder. It was.
Yes, I was
They
too.
didn't
But in
speak
other words,
it
it was
except
a
in
full language, but wasn't spoken. Is that what it was meant by a dead language? Or they had to bring it up to date? I
It's
thought
like,
they had to bring.
Yeah, I mean,
it's sort of like the Catholics with Latin, where it's still being used in religious context text, but it's not being spoken in houses, or at least it's very rarely being spoken in houses. And so yeah, it became a liturgical language as opposed to a vernacular language, as in spoken.
thousands of new words were created. Modern to make it a Israel language of today.
Like when there's a word that's both Yiddish and Hebrew, I'm wondering which came first.
First came the Hebrew.
The Hebrew came.
Hebrew always
The
existed.
Hebrew came the first.
Right.
Okay, the Foel and then Louisa.
Cookie. Hebrew
Yeah,
always
the
existed.
Hebrew was for
but-
centuries also a language of commerce. When Jews wanted to write letters to each other across national boundaries, especially with respect to commerce, they did so in Hebrew. And also, so it wasn't just religious, it was also commercial, but it was generally not spoken for millennia.
Okay, thank you. Maurice, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was just going to say what Rafael said. I mean, I mean, Yiddish was the dominant vernacular language, but Hebrew existed as well. But it just had a minority use. That's all.
Never spoken as a language other than
It was spoken.
It was spoken, but to a minor degree, not nowhere near as much as Yiddish was spoken for 1,000 years.
Okay, Louisa?
So I would add to what was said that the factor in the loss of Hebrew as a spoken language was the diaspora. So it was after the second temple destruction that the Jews really began to. So we're talking about the year 70, and of course Yiddish was non-existent at that time. So we're talking about a period of about almost 1,000 years in which they continued to study Hebrew, but in a loose way, probably as a dead language. And by the year 900 and 1000, they started rebuilding or rethinking the Hebrew grammar in Spain because of the influence of the Arabs in Spain, who were the rulers in obviously certain parts of Spain, where the Arabs began to study Arabic grammar. And the Jews under those Arab countries were being very well treated by the Arabs. I'm talking about Andalusia and so forth.
But you left Aramaic out of the discussion.
So I was talking about Hebrew. So the Jews were in Spain started relearning the Hebrew grammar, and it was only around the year 1100 that in a completely different part of the world, Yiddish began to be sort of like Creole from one of the German dialects. Of course, all of you know much more than I do about the Yiddish, but I was just trying to distinguish for Cookie between the fact that Yiddish was a completely different language based on Germanic sources, completely devoid of the Semitic source, but because the Jews of Germany and Central Europe obviously were always studying Hebrew, whether it was obviously a reborn, and not yet a reborn language. It was sort of liturgical language for religious purposes. So they just, because they were so well versed in the Bible and in the Talmud, they incorporated so many words because of their knowledge of Hebrew. They incorporated so much grammar or so many words that became grammaticalized into Yiddish from Hebrew because they were so well versed.
A lot of people think, who don't know their history, think that Yiddish came from Germany, from the German language. I tell them, Germany existed.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
No,
it is true.
Yeah.
It is true.
Yeah.
From
You left
Germany.
Aramaic. You left Aramaic
Okay.
You
One
left
at a time.
Aramaic out of the discussion. The Jews spoke Aramaic and
Of
studied
course.
Aramaic. Not the Talmud was not in Hebrew.
Some of it
But
is.
But that was because the Jews were in exile. They were in exile in Babylonia. That was when they spoke Aramaic. But obviously, there are so many Aramaic words that, for the same linguistic processes, when there are two languages being used, then both languages are constantly influencing one another.
Right.
So Hebrew has an enormous borrowing from Aramaic. Enormous.
So let's see what other people are thinking. Mariv and then Steve.
Let Steve go and finish this topic. Let Steve go.
Steve.
I want to thank the junior senator from California for giving me her time. No, my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, probably Raphael would know this better than I. It wasn't until the exile of the Jews and the development of Aramaic that the Jewish traditions, Jewish laws, Jewish language, liturgical stuff was all supposed to be, it was an oral language, that it was primarily, it was supposed to be handed down from father to son and obviously from to daughter as well in our modern context. And that it wasn't until the first exile that things started to be written down because of the diaspora. So that Aramaic was a language that was developed, and a lot of what was written initially was Aramaic. And I think that all the development of other languages of Yiddish have all been part of one or another diasporas. They were languages that were intended to help Jewish people survive in a foreign land, but to still have some kind of a unity amongst each other that was both social and commercial as well as religious. That's what I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mariv, where are you?
I want to ask another question, so I need this topic to be finished.
Okay, so I see that Refoil also raised his hand. So Refoil.
Yeah, it's a very complicated story, the development of languages. But Aramaic and Hebrew are sister languages. It's not that one came before the other. They were coterminous for many centuries. Aramaic was the lingua franca of a large region from Egypt all the way over towards Mesopotamia. And it was spoken in larger areas than even Hebrew. As to when Jews started using one language or another, it's, as I say, complicated. I don't think we need to get into it now, but most of what I've heard people say, except for Louisa, has not been accurate to my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I can add to that. Aramaic was spoken through the whole of the, I forget how it's called, Achaemenid, the Persian Empire, which was enormous all the way from India to Palestine. And people moved freely during, I think it was 300 years. And even though that wasn't the native language of the Persians, Aramaic was used as a lingua franca through their whole empire. So it's no surprise that we picked up a lot of, started using it. It was like English now, or, Roman during the Roman times. Anyway, I have another question that I've been dying to ask for weeks, and it's about the relationship between Yiddish and Hebrew. I'm going to put it in the chat and then I'll read it for you. What are the Yiddish and Hebrew words for ritual and or ceremony, as in a synagogue service? Someone suggested Yiddish avoida, related to Hebrew avodah, but that seems to be mainly referring to the event at the heart of Yom Kippur? Question mark. So I also tried to find the word for worship and found holachan, which means Pulchan. And is there another word for davening? Like what would you say? I'm going to a service in English. How would you say that in both Hebrew and Yiddish? I can't find it myself.
Tfilot. Yeah. There is not exactly a word for service.
So what would you say?
You say, אני הולך להתפלל, I'm going to pray, but it's not really a service. Service is something else.
Yeah.
You don't really have a service in Israeli synagogues. It's not a service. The rabbi is not standing and preaching or saying something. You're praying, you're following.
So you would say, I'm going to daven. If you say
yes. I'm going to daven. Yeah.
Is that right?
That's what I think.
Ask a rabbi. But not in America. In America,
just a moment, Henrietta.
If Jesus shul, we're going to the synagogue. That covers the whole thing.
Right.
Right, but you can also say davening shachris, davening mincha, davening, which means to pray, to go to pray those.
Okay, do you know what? I just have, that Michael is putting Vinkl in his newsletter, in the weekly newsletter. So the last 2 weeks, I think, he put something, about Helm. So I thought we might as well read it. It just fits with
a joke.
Minna, why don't you read it? Minna, you never get to read.
Okay. In der Stadt ist gewesen ein Gewirr, sehr strenger und nakasen. So in a city, there was a rich man that was very strenger. How do you translate it? He was very
strict,
and he was very kasan. Lichos means to be angry. He was all the time angry. Was oft verlangt von seiner Bediener that he requested from his servants, as von ein Wort sollen sie schon verstehen allein alles, that from one word that he is saying, they will, by themselves, they will understand everything, was sei oben zu tun, what they need to do, und soll kein Mal nicht dürfen reden zu sein kein übriges Wort, and that he should never have to say to them more than one word. No, but übrig is an
extra word.
Extra word, yeah. Einmal hat zugenommen an einem Mischares. So once he just took a new servant, was hat gestammt von Helm, that originated from Helm. Das Bocher is gewesen sehr Rirevdike. This young man was very, how would you translate the Rirevdike?
Lively.
Easily angered.
Sorry, I didn't understand each of you. What did you say, Susan?
Easily angered?
No.
Easily angered? No, I don't think so.
I would say lively.
Lively, yes.
Oh.
Nur versteht sich nicht kein größer Kuchen. But as you understand, he wasn't a very wise one. Sagt ihm der Gewirr, so the rich person tells him. Rafael, will you continue?
Soll's Wissen sein, als ich hab Feind, wenn man versteht allein nicht von ein Wort. You should understand that I dislike it if one doesn't understand from just one word, was man darf tun, azoi, that which one is supposed to do. Azoi as es soll sein als great. Everything should be prepared. Und kein minste Sach soll nicht fehlen. And even the smallest thing should not be lacking. Lamashal, for example, as a ches der langen Brot, if I ask for bread to be brought, musst du schon allein verstehen. You've got to understand on your own, as man darf der langen Frier Wasser, waschen sich, that you've got to first bring water to wash our hands, und a Handtuch abwischen sich, and a towel to wipe them on, und Salz zum Brot, und das Gleiche, and also to bring salt, and similar things. Der Chelmer Mesharis hat sich es genommen gut in Sinnen. This assistant from Chelm took this to heart. Macht sich in a Portagarum, so it happened a few days later. Der Gewirr werd etwas nicht mit allemen. The rich guy wasn't feeling all that well. Und schickte Mesharis nach a doctor. And he sent the assistant for a doctor. Der Mesharis läuft geschwind avec noch ein doctor. The assistant ran off quickly for the doctor. Danach in enige Erde. After that, into other places, several other places. As gedauert a paar Shah, it lasted for a few hours. Kommt zu laufen zurück, and he came running back, stark verschwitzt, completely in a sweat, und trug tachrichim, and he carried with him burial shrouds in ein Hand, in one hand, und a maiver yabak in der zweite, and a text, the ma'aver yabak, crossing the river Yabok, in his other hand. Und mit ihm kommt der Rav, mit sein Sefer. And also, the rabbi came along with his scribe. Der Gewirr guckte ihm an, verwundert. The rich man looked at him with wonder. Und tut a geschrei mit Beza. And he shouted out with anger, "Was ist das? Von Sinnen bis darauf? What's going on? Are you out of your mind?"
I want to stop you just a moment. Can you explain exactly what is a Ma'avar Yabok? It's like crossing the Stich River?
It's a book, and what the contents of that book is, I'll just check in Sefaria.
Because you see, in Greek mythology, you have to cross the river.
Yeah, it's not crossing the Styx. It's I don't see it right now in Sefaria, but it's the name of a book, and maybe it's a book with burial prayers. I don't know.
Okay. So can you just another?
Sure. So are you out of your mind? We have Echab Getan. Okay, I did this. Echab Getan macht der Chelmer Mesharis, says the Chelmite, the assistant. Wir hat mir gelernt, just as you taught me. Medar verstehen, mitten Seichel. You've got to understand with your wisdom, as a mensch fällt ein, that if a person is fällt ein, I'll have to pause and get, it literally falls in, but I'm not quite sure what that means in context. Let's get more context. Kann sich oft mal machen, it can often happen, as nimmt und geht der Gang, that he starts going some distance. Darf sein ausgeht. Okay. So I'm going to translate this going back, as a mensch fällt ein.
He succumbs.
Einfallen is to get an idea.
An idea, yeah.
When you get an idea, it can often happen that you go astray, but you have to get everything ready. Der Pfarrer Take habe ich gebracht dem Rav mit dem Sefer. And that's, in fact, why I brought the rabbi and the scribe. Ihr sollt anschreiben bei Zeiten, sagt Savoa, that in good time you should write out your will. An ungekret tachrichim mit the Maiver Yobak. And you should also set up your burial shrouds with a Maver Yobak book, whatever it is. Find out later. Ich hab euch gerufen dem Gabe von der Chevra Kedisha. I also brought the head fellow of the burial society, der bald kommen Herr mit seiner Chevralite, that he should also come here soon with the members of his society. Kein minste Sach wird nicht fehlen. Even the smallest thing should not be lacking. So you're feeling unwell. Could be that you'll die. I want to have everything ready.
Yeah. Okay, and Michael brought us another one. And so, like, Michael, you're here?
I have this next one in a book.
Yeah. Michael Fisman, you're here?
Hysterical.
Yes, I wanted to tell you, I've got Dvorsky here, and he explains Mother Yabok.
Yeah.
It's crossing the river Yabok, the name of a book that includes the prayers, I'm translating from the Yiddish here, that a dying person has to say, and also the prayers that one says after someone's dead. It's also the name of a traditional Chevra group with the purpose of accompanying the corpse to death, to accompany appropriately the corpse.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we know. Now we know. So can you read this, or you have to?
To you in Yiddish, if you'd like.
No, here, what I'm seeing. In Chelm is aufgefahren.
In Chelm ist euch aufgefallen der erste Schnee. In Chelm, the first snow fell. Die Chelmer haben davon sehr Anoa gehabt. The Chelmer got a lot of pleasure from it. Es sieht euch so schön, it looks so pretty. Über Nacht wird die Erde bedeckt mit einem weißen Lilac. Overnight, the earth is covered with a white sheet. Klar wie Silber, clear as silver. Es ist mamash mechayen nefashos zu gucken. It really revives the soul to look at it. Ein Sach is a schlecht gewesen. One thing was unpleasant for them. Der Shamash wird gehen, okay, I think everybody knows the story. Der Shamash wird gehen, vertogrufen in Schulereien, mit dem Schnee zu treten. When the Shamash will go in the morning at dawn to call people into shul, he will tread on the snow. Was tut man dazu? So how do you deal with that? Noch lang trachten hat man ausgetracht. After a lot of consideration, they came to the conclusion, gedungen a paar Gesundheitsträger, they hired a few healthy porters, sie sollen dem Shamas auf die Hand trugen to carry the Shamas.
Okay.
Of the classic stories.
Yeah, okay. With that, we finished for Chelm. Right now, I will send a completely new story next time, not to do with Chelm whatsoever.
But that wasn't the end of that story. My book says a little different. Then they wondered after the men carried him, they wondered who walked in the snow. They wondered.
Okay.
Who walked in the snow? I love that story. I have it. I'll find it as a book in English.
Well, just so you know, Michael in his newsletter is giving all kinds of information, but is also giving us a joke every week. And it's really nice, you know, to read a joke in Yiddish. Yeah, Cookie, I see you.
I want to say you have never heard anyone say that they were born in Chelm.
Oh, that's
Never.
not true. I have a friend who was born in Chelm.
Really? I never heard because
And I have the Yisker book from Chelm.
really they'd be embarrassed because all the fools come from
Well,
Chelm.
that's mythology, but Chelm was a real place.
I know it's mythology, but I never heard any of them say they came from Chelm. No.
Well, maybe they came from other places. Who knows?
Name another city or something. Anyway.
Okay, any more comments, stories, anecdotes?
So I want to know if they cut Vaizata's head in half.
Yes, they said, yeah, they cut it in half. It says there.
Oy, Gewalt.
Oy, Gewalt, ja. Was bekannt machen. Steve, good to see you. We haven't seen you for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So it's good that you are back.
Who, me? I was there.
No, not you, Steve. You, I saw you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just noticed. I wanted to write you. It's written to me. Write to Steve. Where is he? Okay, so Harriet, I hope you liked us. I hope you liked the class and you will keep coming to us. Can I give your email to other people? The one like, because Maurice is sending out a weekly song. Beverly is sending out all kinds of news about Yiddish. Michael is sending a weekly newsletter. And Barbara is doing kind of organization work for us. So can I? Okay.
Absolutely, yes. That'd be great.
Okay, I will let them know. Okay, so people, have a nice weekend. Sei mir gesehen. Noch a Woche with another story, completely different. Promise. Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Toda.
Bye.